I've been very fortunate to stand on podiums and win gold medals and listen to national anthems. I guess society deems that as a great success. The journey is always more valuable to me than the outcome. Those gold medals that I have aren't special because it's a gold medal. It's the journey that I've been on to get them. If you're going into this thing trying to learn about yourself and understand what you're capable of, then hell, I've succeeded 10 times over.
This morning I've tried to think in the 30 Ks of pushing across the tops. Words that describe how brutal this is.
Am I disappointed that I stopped? Am I angry that I stopped? Well, all that gets cancelled out when safety's involved. I've been told carrying on for another 6 hours I would have lost all the toes on all my feet. It became pretty apparent on day 2 that I was going to get my ass kicked. That it's by far the hardest thing I've ever done. I was up for it. All I have to do is ride the miles a day. That's it. I got to ride that 100 miles a day and I don't stop until I do. And that second day, I think it was loud and clear that, the environment wasn't going to allow me to do that. Sort of had to let go of that daily mileage and just do all I could. With all the experience I have in the Scottish mountains, I've never seen snow like it.
It's way harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be hard, but it's so much harder.
I probably pushed too hard when it was clear my objective was not attainable. I needed more time, but I didn't have it. So the only way to try and manage that was to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Something amazing about the Highland Trail is the variety of terrain that you cover. You can read books, you can watch films, but when you immerse yourself in that stuff, that's the essence of it. That's where the beauty is. The freedom I felt being able to ride, in the mountains and on that terrain was ecstasy. It was amazing. But those periods were relatively short-lived. As hard as it was, that's the whole purpose of me doing adventures like this, to go really deep, to question yourself, to find out who you really are.
Pushing up the top of Glengolly, I think this is. Trying to get to the Belach Horn. Gotta say, it's a bit of a killer.
Going around the Belach Horn was a 17-kilometre section, and it took me 18 hours. I signed on to going through the night. I knew I was going to have to go through the night, but the conditions, the blizzard, the deep snow, I knew I was empty. I needed to stop, but there wasn't anywhere to stop.
Here we go. I've gone about 200 meters in an hour.
I found a boulder and thought, maybe I can get behind that. And the spindrift coming over the top of it was so fierce. As quickly as I cleared a platform for my tent, it had just filled back in behind me. And I knew at that point that I was in this for the long haul. My arms were cramping, my legs were knackered, everything was frozen, I hadn't drunk anything for a while. I knew the safest thing to do was keep going.
Too many hours pushing.
I didn't waver, I didn't lose my cool, I never got upset during that battle. And I signed up for that at 9 o'clock when I left Glengolly, and I knew it was going to be hard. That never got to me.
Descent off the Belach Horn. There you go.
The biggest shock was when I got down to the lock on the other side after, pushing through the night, having a really hard day. And it was probably the emotion.
It's funny, I was rock solid on the hill. Now I'm a mess. Just got down and seen the Sullagers.
It was the release, I think, of all the things over that night that I just didn't allow myself to think about. That raw emotion just came out. It's really easy to unravel in those situations. When you feel that emotion bottle up, you can just let it go. You're free. When you get that in life, let it go. With only, 6 hours of daylight during the ride, I was going to spend the majority of time in the dark, and I've got to deal with that. I live with that day to day, all the time, with my vision in daylight or in the dark with a head torch on. So I kind of feel like that's a level playing field then. That I do this stuff even though I'm disabled. It's just who I am. I don't want people to look at what I do and think it's incredible because I can't see. I hope it starts to think in people's mind, well, if he can do that, what can I do? I'm pretty fortunate in the way that I look at success. As an athlete, I've been fortunate enough to realise failures made success. I fail on a daily basis with what I do for training and racing, but that's when you learn the most. That journey was for me massively successful because I discovered and learned so much about myself. I grew as a person. I found things out about myself I didn't know. That's success. Records will be broken. Success for me is going beyond yourself and learning about yourself.
I've got a problem. I'm getting frostbite on my feet. I need to try and find some toe warmers or hand warmers or something, or else they're starting to go waxy, and there's a couple of dark blue spots and they're completely numb.
There was no going on. That was clear. That was absolutely clear. I needed medical help ASAP. I think what I massively underestimated was the damage that had already been done. I wasn't that aware of frostbite. I guess the images I've always seen in the past of people with solid black fingers and toes and jet black. And I knew I was a long way from that. What I massively underestimated was how far into that process I was.
I've had to stop. I've got frostbite on my toes. They're starting to go black. Yeah. Yeah.
The biggest shock was 10 days after I stopped and the state my feet had gotten, where the black started appearing, the blisters were there, and they were still pretty much numb. Then all of a sudden you start to realise, I thought I'd got away with it, where in fact I was probably 3 stages into it. And after the rewarming baths and in Inverness, I was shocked when when all of a sudden these blisters were appearing on my feet. How they evolved in the next kind of 2 weeks was frightening, and it became very clear how close to losing all my toes I was. I'd like to say when I go back, because I think I will, because the draw and the excitement of being in that position again, where you think you're completely on your knees and empty, and you carry on, you break through that ceiling, is too much to let go.